the projected linear growth, population growth in the district for as far as the eye could see. These projections were not supported by urban growth models. Instead, the data presented simply took historical growth as an indicator of future growth. As we now know, the growth forecast by the district was incorrect because it was skewed by an artificial factor, that being the banking and governmental policies that made housing affordable to those beyond their means. Once that factor was removed, population density in the district returned to more predictable levels that can in fact be calculated using models such as the bid-rent theory of urban growth. If the board had been aware of such a theory, it would have been clear that the projected growth figures used to justify the construction of 2 new schools were completely out of line with what should have been taking place in the region. The choice to construct 2 schools was disastrous for the district. While looking to avoid the mistakes the board made in 2006, this board relied solely on ISBE feeder district data to project enrollment for high schools in the district. While this method eliminated the prospect of skewed data, it left in place the false perception that growth would return predominantly in the western part of the district. As noted earlier, there are modeling techniques available that can be used to project growth. These models suggest that due to the reset of the housing market following the crash, growth in the district over the next decade will not occur in the west, but instead will occur overwhelmingly in the east. That is to say that the overabundance of cheaper housing and land closer to the central economic hub of the area, Chicago, will promote expansion first in the Frankfort Township area before proceeding and spreading to the hinterlands further out. Obviously, theories are useless without data. It just so happens that we have some data to back these theories, and the data comes from the ISBE itself. When comparing newly FOIA'd enrollment numbers from the ISBE for 2015, the following feeder district changes from the board's original numbers can be seen. For grades 1 through 8 only, District 122, Martino, plus 2 students. District 114, Manhattan, plus 13 students. District 159, Mokina, plus 17 students. District 122, Liberty, plus 19 students. District 161, Summit Hill, plus 60 students. District 157C, Frankfurt, plus 68 students. What does this mean when broken down by the remaining schools in the district? Lincoln Way Central, plus 19 students. Lincoln Way West, plus 32 students. Lincoln Way East, plus 128 students. Placing 2 schools in the western part of the district and leaving 1 school in the east, which in a single year saw 72% of the district-wide growth, will likely lead to overcrowding at Lincoln Way East. Was the board presented with any form of urban growth modeling when making their decision to close the school that, according to the latest data available, will see the most growth? Or was the conventional wisdom presented as fact that overheated growth in New Lenox Township would somehow return where it left off in the early 2000s? One by one, the pillars that supported this board's original decision have fallen. I urge the board to rescind the vote taken on August 13th and submit the school closing decision to an independent outside authority that will study all factors before making a recommendation on which school to close. It's not too late. I know that putting this issue back in the community will take a great deal of courage, but it will also help restore the community's trust. Doing what is best for the entire district cannot be seen as wrong as long as the process is fair and true. Transition plans can still be designed for school closing. They may even be more equitably constructed if the stakeholders in the process all have the same skin in the game.